Athletic Department. We're back here again today in the Waco Center, down here in the office of Pioneer Media for another segment of the Coaches Show. And our guest for today's session is head wrestling coach Dylan Cottrell. Coach, great to see you here today.
Great to be back, another year at Coach's Show, ready to talk some wrestling.
Oh, back at it, and it's the regular season starting this week. I know you've had a couple scrimmages, but now it gets real. The numbers now go into your body of work for down the road, regional rankings and the like.
Right.
But starting this week, right off, big tournament, the largest home tournament in the history of wrestling here at Glenville. 8 teams here in the Waco Center. Tell us about this tournament this weekend.
Well, we're super excited to put on an event like this. Obviously, 3 years ago when I got this job, the goal was to progressively get more events here on the Waco Center and to use this facility. And this is really obviously, last year was, we did a couple more things like the Battle on the Gridiron, which we have coming up. But, this was the big thing that I kind of, overtook on the summer and really started working on and getting 8 teams here. And, it was a process for sure, because I didn't want to just have, all MEC or all local. Yeah, we have a lot of MEC flavor and local, but, I wanted to get some different super regions and some different teams in here that we don't see all the time throughout the year. So, we brought in, the King University and, Ashland and, Emory and Henry. So, different people that it's just not the same stuff that we're seeing every weekend. And a couple of those guys are regional, so great chances for us to already right off the bat get some regional wins. Yeah. And then also, it's great for our RPI, right, with wrestling, all Division II and some good Division II teams, that way at the end of the year that we can get some guys ranked in the national tournament and have a little bit of an easier way to that All-American, status. So. Yeah, but I mean, the event's going to be awesome. It's gonna be 9 to 5, a full day of wrestling, 5 rounds, and dual style. I'm excited for us. We are. I don't want to say down right now, but we're not where we're going to be at the second half of the year, right? We have some guys out, a couple guys injuries, a couple guys eligible, different stuff that you deal with on every team at the start of the year, right? Kind of just getting your feet wet and rolling through the start, right? So we're super early in a long season, so the product we put out this weekend is not going to be, our end product, right? But it's good for us, right? It's going to give some guys that don't normally get a chance to wrestle, right? And go out there and opportunity for them, right? It's again about to be November 5th. There's no one that is a starter right now that's for super regions, you know what I mean? So, a good opportunity for some of our guys to come out and maybe show, hey, maybe, I'm the guy at this spot, even though that's not what we were thinking, so, hopefully those guys take advantage of it and come out and show what they can do. But yeah, it's gonna be a great weekend, a lot of great wrestling. Like I said, both us and Ashland are ranked in the top 25 in the first preseason WACA poll. There's tons of individual ranked wrestlers out there, so a lot of good wrestling all around. Not just us, but a lot of good wrestling on the other 5 mats as well. Yeah, a lot of teams here you saw last year, and a lot of individuals within those teams that were key wrestlers moving forward, and so it would be a big deal to get out of pool play and into those big points rounds at the end of the day here Saturday. Yeah, I mean we're obviously really looking to get on that winner side of the bracket and get out there. I would say. Obviously, you never know, but if you're looking at it on paper, probably Ashland and King are going to come out on the bottom side. They're both super tough. Ashland's ranked, and in my opinion, if I was the one voting on the coaches poll, King would have had a lot more ranked wrestlers than they did, and they would be a top 25 team. I think that the next poll they will be. I think they're a very solid team. I just think they've had a lot of turnover. They've had 2 coaches leave there within the 2 years, and but they're a very solid team up and down the lineup, and I think you're going to see that this weekend. So we really want to get a chance to win out our side of the bracket, get out there, wrestle Ashland. Obviously, they're a regional opponent, right? And they're one of the ones that they've had a storied program for years, right? Yeah. They've been around, and the regional
powerhouse,
right? Been powerhouse for years up there in Ohio, and we just had our regional rankings come out, and we were ranked ahead of them, right, which was amazing for our program in a third year to be ranked ahead of a team like Ashland, right? So we want to go out there and prove it, right away.
Yeah.
And then, King was someone that we wanted to bring in from a different region, right? They're Super Region 2 down in Tennessee. They got a great team. And so, we want to make sure that we get out there so we have the opportunity to wrestle them, right, in our own place.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I know it's a short fall, for this sport, get right into play. And I know, the basketballs are in the same boat. That conditioning phase is so critical. Third year of your program, so much more depth now. I mean, I'm just saying, because I see y'all work out,
right,
is you've really pushed that envelope a little more on the conditioning end this year, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we're working. We got a great group that really enjoys, putting their head down and grinding. It's that fine line, and I know you've been there too as a coach of, each athlete is on a singular basis of what you're kind of trained. We got some guys that are 24 years old, some older guys that we just can't wrestle them live all the time, right? Then we got, tons of guys that are 18 that, you can put them through about anything and they're going to recoup and get back and not be sore. And, that's what we need. We need those freshmen being on the mat as much as possible, being sponges and making sure that they're really getting great growth during that freshman year. And then some of our older guys, right, they get it and they've been there, and we need to wrestle them a little bit less and make sure that their bodies are feeling well and that they're able to compete, when we want them to compete in the big matches and the bigger duels and competitions like this, right? So it's different, for sure. That's something that I have to do as a coach well. I have to manage our athletes, right? I was a guy who was really just put my head down and worked and maybe sometimes even to a detriment that, I maybe overworked my body some, and that's just how it was. And so I have to kind of flip that off sometimes and realize not everyone is like I was. And, and that's okay. That's, again, for me, the growth and trying to mature as a coach, right? So I have to figure out, each group that comes in, how we're going to handle them on a singular basis and make sure, because the end goal obviously is to get better throughout the year, but it's also to be healthy at the end of the year. That way that we're putting out our best 10 products when it matters.
Yeah, I'll say an average healthy team beats a great injured team.
I mean, 100%. And this isn't anything on Ashland, but we were just talking about Ashland. Ashland had a really, really talented team last year, a very old team, and at the end of the year they fell apart, and it was injuries, right? And I'm not saying their coach Colt is a great coach. It just happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But they, at Super Regional, they had 4 or 5 guys get hurt, completely go down. That were guys who, didn't make the tournament, who were all American guys, right? And you just run into that. And so as a coach, like I said, that's just what we're not wanting to happen, right? We've obviously changed so much, and we bring in a lot of transfers and these older guys, but we just have to make sure and manage them. We have to make sure that we're not having them beat up half the year, and it's one of the toughest things in our sport. It's just
load management's real.
Yeah, and it's such a tough sport on top of load management, right? Of just injury in general. So that's what we have a great training staff that works with us. Coach Myers in the weight room, that we're doing everything to be as injury preventive as possible, right? And but wrestling's wrestling, and it happens. But we're going to be there, and we're going to be healthy and ready to go. Like I said, when it matters at conference, regionals, NCAAs. Well,
I tell you, when you get the conglomeration of this amount of talent, you have a very talented team you piece together in a short time. I'm going to talk about the leadership here, because you got 2 national qualifiers back in Cole Hauser and Hunter DeLong. You got a conference champion back in Ethan Hardy, who didn't quite have the regional that he wanted. Right. And you had Jordan Williams, who, if he wouldn't have gotten injured, was in position to go with those guys all the way through as well. I'm looking at those 4 guys already with some pretty big accolades. How have they been in a leadership role for this, conglomeration of talent?
Well, those 4 guys have, like I said, Cole's been with me since the start of it. He was really our first big recruit that we got here. He's a quiet kid. Him and DeLong both are not super loud leaders, but man, do they lead by example. And they work hard. They do the right things. They're great in the classroom. They're great around the community, right? They work for the athletic department. Anytime that we need them, they help out. They're just they're great wrestlers, but I've said this a ton of times. They're better people, right? And that's what we want on our team, right? We want a good culture. So, our guys, if they're following them and their footsteps, we're going to be all right. Ethan Hardy, he had a great freshman year last year. He continued to get a lot better, right? Regionals didn't go how he wanted, but that happens sometimes. We don't always have our best tournaments. It just was unfortunate that the time it was. I think a lot of it was the weight cut last year, right? At the end of the year, his weight got a little bit hard to manage, and I think it kind of got to him. And I think that's going to be a huge learning experience for him because I think at the end of the year he thought, it'll be okay, right? It'll work itself out, but it ended up coming back and biting him a little bit. And Jordan's like we talked about, the load management, right? We got to make sure that he's healthy, right? Yeah. He's, so he's unbelievably talented at that weight class, and he wrestles like a small wrestler, even though he's at 197, which can cause tons of problems for people. Yeah. But those guys aren't really our vocal leaders. Those guys are just kind of more get in the room and work. The transfer that we got in, Jared Campbell, he's ranked 9th in the country right now, and he was an All-American at Notre Dame. He's kind of our vocal guy. He's loud and kind of says what he feels, and it's good to have one of those guys on the team, right, as well. So he's obviously going to be a huge thing. And then Gavin Kiocho, he wrestled 149 for us last year. He's dropping down 2 weight classes to 133, and
so much quicker. I was telling his family about that today. He looks.
And he's so naturally strong too at that weight that even with him dropping, and I've said it to you a couple times, but he's going to be a problem for some people. Yeah. He really is at that weight class. He weighed out at 134 today, so the main part was like his weight, and he's doing so good at it. We talk about it all the time, right? Of consistency through stuff, right? He's been great on his weight. He's got 6 classes. He's got 6 A's, right? It's just
he
does all the things right?
Yeah.
And it pays off, and that's why the weight cut's been so easy for him. I don't want to say easy, but it's been so well. He's done it about as good as you can do it, right? And he's looked great. He looked great in the scrimmages. He's looked great in practice. I'm really expecting him to kind of have a coming out party this year at that weight class. I think it's going to fit him really well.
Excited about that move, and really fits in with your plans with how you want to place people. And I think you're going to, we talked, you're going to learn a lot more with these early matches moving forward. But anyway, we'll next week we'll be hashing this out, the tournament, about those results, and when that's digested, and be talking about next week's battle on the gridiron out here. So looking forward to that. So. Appreciate you being with us today, Coach.
Appreciate it.
And thank you all for being with us out there. We'll talk to you next week on the Coaches Show.